Hey, it's the Chief, bonding with board games and RPGs. We're going to be jumping back into our main character, Gomer. That's right, Gomer. I didn't pick it, the dice did. We're currently using the Maze Rats, Ben Milton's Real Simplified RPG system. However, no guarantees, but I may transition over to Crawford's. I always forget, sorry Kevin Crawford's Cities Without Number system. Of course, there's Worlds Without Number, whole nother book. Stars Without Number, pretty soon Ashes Without Number, Apocalyptic, hello. But this is more of the cyberpunk book. Real quick, because I'm going to do a separate video on this now. I grabbed it because inside Cities Without Number, there is a layout of how you can come up with kind of the concept of the world you're in, the nation you're in, the city you're in, the districts that you're moving in, and then the schemes, the missions that you're going to take as you move through Cities Without Number. And since I'm in a completely, I saw NEURALINK, I'm intrigued by it, and I don't have a lot of guidelines, I thought, well, let me look at the book. The schemes are great. They lead to a lot of different jobs and activity for your folks to do. I'll do another video on that in a bit. Rolling right into this game because I'll end up talking about the setups there. Currently, we are still going to be using Maze Rats if we run into anything. We know Gomer has loaded up a single NEURALINK. I can just tell you, I think he's thinking about a second one for the visual cortex as well. Right now it's just tied in so that he can link to Grok 4, the AI, and he could communicate as well, I believe, with anything that is linked up, but we'll get into that more. I was going to jump us into his apartment. One of the sets or scenes that we're going to be moving around in is his apartment, his workspace, and a gaming cafe that we'll explore at some other point in time. I'm going to jump us past his place, and he's going to be coming into work on his day 2. He's back, the NEURALINK's in, he's been doing some work with it. He met Jonah, who's the janitorial staff, 50-year-old black guy that's got like a lot of street cred, a lot of streetwise, and he's in on Gomer's secret that Gomer has input a NEURALINK just to augment himself, kind of cyborgish. We also know that Bernadine wasn't real thrilled, or isn't real thrilled with Gomer. He's kind of a recluse. He hangs out in his work area, doesn't chat with other folks. He missed 2 weeks of work. And there's a new gal coming in today. That's where we're going to open up. So as we come in, the first thing we're going to do is ask him, we'll go with Mythic. Yes or no question, is the brand new hire, we know it's a woman, that's it, is she already in Gomer's workspace? I think this is 50-50. I don't know how it's going to go. Those that don't know, I'm using the Mythic emulator, first version, just to, as an oracle, answer yes or no questions. 50-50, 50 or less, she's already there. She came into work early. 59, she's not there yet. That means Bernadine is going to be bringing her around. So Gomer comes in, gets into his space, his lab, his area, all the little machines or what he works on that do the actual surgery to implant the NEURALINK, which is how he was able to implant one himself. He did it at home. That's right. And he got an infection. Go see the other episodes. So he sets his lunch down and preps it for noon. We know he loves peanut butter and jelly and Capri Suns. I always thought Capri Suns were like a future-looking drink. So does he. So I want to know, I think now, as he sets up, I can imagine a little bit of work on the machines, just his standard stuff. No need to role play that through. He's tweaking it out. He's got his emails in. He's working on whatever jobs are presented to him. The big question is, of course, he'll be working with his NEURALINK after hours again, provided the brand new employee isn't getting in the way. But does Bernadine bring the new hire around in the morning? Be a simple yes or no question. Again, 50%. It's a 99. So that's not only a no, it's a strong no. So when we get a strong no, Not only is she not coming around, boy, that leads me down the road of either she's not even coming in this day. I was going to just have it be a default to an afternoon show. Well, what is the issue? Something odd has happened here. Something odd has happened here. I'm going to do action subject. What is the super strong no? We're going to find out. 18. 18 is going to be a move. Okay, let's just make some crazy notes down here. Move. Move what? Move what? 1. Move goals. All right. So if the goals have been moved, we know Bernadine's goal was to bring in this other employee, and we're moving the goals. All right, let's go to a yes or no question. Let's make it real wild. Has the employee ended up backing out of the job? Maybe she got a better offer. So 50-50. Did she completely back out of the job? 34. Yes. Okay. So new hire is out. New goals. All right. Let's have Bernadine come walking in. It's going to still be like 10 o'clock. So mid-morning, Bernadine comes in to check on Gomer. Again, she's not a huge fan, but Gomer knows what he's doing. He's just a recluse. So she's going to wander in, and using Une, I want to go with the conversation here. This will control my conversation. All right, so 1 through 6, 3. That's just neutral. She comes in, so now we're going to do a percentile die roll for 38. Neutral coming across 38 puts her at neutral, neutral. That's helpful. So we just know the options. She could go from neutral to sociable to helpful to forthcoming, or down from neutral to cautious to guarded to withdrawn. So just to give you a layout. Her bearing then. I'm going to imagine there's scheming, insane, friendly, hostile, and then there's subcategories in here. Let's just figure out what it is. I want to know what's Bernadine's mood here. 15. So we've got 15 and 41. 15 and 41 coming across is hostile and capture. Hostile and capture. Hostile. Well, hostile is no problem. She's irritated that the gal's backed out and she's stuck with Gomer. Capture. Let's just say that she is Bernadine as she comes in. I don't need to even roll on the next level, which is what her, well, let's go where one more thing focus. I think capture might be that she pulls him out of his lab and maybe even takes him to personnel in order to help pick the next new hire. That would be interesting. Let me check focus. What is her focus? 9. 9. It is equipment. Okay, I think that kind of makes sense. So Bernadine comes in, and I think Gomer just looks up, but he's a little bit surprised that this new hire isn't with her. I don't think he says anything one way or the other, because although Bernadine's playing it very neutral, she's got her game face on, or her poker face on, where she's not showing emotion. We do know that she speaks first, and there's a little bite, there's a little edge to her tone. And she says, stop what you're doing, come with me, we're going down to personnel. Gomer's like, what did I do? He thinks he's in trouble. And because she's hostile, she says, stop what you're doing and come with me. Gomer thinks she's getting fired. That's good. I think he thinks, holy moly, do they know about the NEURALINK? Come down to personnel. Feels a lot like getting fired. So what would Gomer do? He's known to panic a little bit. I think he's got to say something, and I got to role play him out. He's nervous. I was going to say, he's going to say, I won't do it again. But that's not quite it, because what's done is done. I think he says the phrase, I'm an innovator and a risk taker. What? Okay, I'm an innovator and a risk taker. I think he's just saying it. He's thinking she knows. And maybe she would like these word salad phrases that he's doing. And she says, Gomer, I don't think you take risks at all, and you're no innovator. And now he's like, And she says again, hostile, come with me down to HR. You need to help pick your replacement? No, she's still staying neutral. You need to come down and help pick the next new hire. And Gomer's like, I thought you had a girl coming in. She took a better offer. Yeah, that would piss her off. Yes. And I would imagine, again, this is like a STEM field. The new hire could probably name a figure, and somebody else saw her getting hired into NEURALINK and then bumped it up. Yep. And that's one reason Bernadine's hostile. So she had a gal coming in, and basically that gal got swooped out from underneath. Very good. I need to know a name. What is the name of this gal? Come on, where's my deal? We're going to go with a name. Let's just go. Maze Rats has their names, and we'll just grab it. They may be fantasy. I'll change them up if I have to. Characters, methods, clothing, female names. Here we go. This is 6-sided die roll. We do 1 to give us a column 6, number 2. Tuesday. That's perfect. Tuesday. And he says, I think that's even online with, she says, Tuesday took a better job. He's like, Tuesday, it's Monday. She goes, Tuesday's her name, idiot. Not the most polite thing, but she's hostile. I think Gomer says, her name's Tuesday. Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. Let's go. She's moving them along. So we know Tuesday could show up somewhere else, maybe on some other corpse like megacorp, like a mega corporation, which is part of these schemes in Cities Without Number. She may show up in somebody else's STEM area. Interesting. Tuesday. So up we go, or down we go probably. I bet you personnel's on the 1st or 2nd floor, so there's not a lot of moving up and down for potential new hires. Down we go, and I think she brings him into HR office, and she hands him a bunch of files and says, look through and pick your replacement. He says replacement. She says, no, sorry. Pick your coworker. What? Come on, dude. You already knew, Gomer, you were looking to be replaced. All right. So back to the sheet. I would imagine most people that have put in are competent. Or as Gomer flips through, he's kind of able to look at a few and say, here's the deal. Even if it's his replacement, he can't pick somebody that's subpar. It's not within him to do it. He starts thumbing through and like mumbling, has no idea what they're doing. This is BS. Promise. Goes through a couple others. Lying, making up words. This one, actually pretty good. This one, trained at MIT. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? So he's got 3. Out of the 3, let me see, which one does he zoom in on first? 1, 2, or 3? All right, so we've got 5. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So number 2. Who is number 2? I don't know why I'm numbering it, because you didn't know the other ones. So is it a man or a woman? Man will be Oh, here's the deal. She's hostile. I think as he's picking through, now this just makes sense. She had a female picked. I think she's even irritated because he's segregated off 3 males. I like it. And he was just doing it again. He wasn't doing it based on the sex at all. He was picking up like misnomers, or little tells that he was able to pick up that probably meant the person maybe where they worked last or they had no work history at all. But he ends up with 3 males. And I think Bernadine's like, you've excluded the females. And he's like, well, there were a couple, but they didn't have the experience these 3 did. And one of them was flat out making stuff up on her resume. You might have got her hired, but she wouldn't have known what to do and she wouldn't have been able to pick up what I was teaching. I think Bernadine, who just got burned by Tuesday, I think Gomer, or maybe he doesn't throw it in, but I think Bernadine in her head thinks, I brought Gomer down here for this specific purpose. I just got burned by a great female candidate, and it might happen again simply because there's like a high bidding war for qualified females, and she's most definitely has a cap on what she can pay, especially having Gomer in the position already. I'm sure this is a lower level entry job because you're going to be training underneath Gomer. That's it. So she already was in a bit of a problem. She can't really afford a bidding war. So she's like, fine. And he says, again, I need a name. I keep putting it somewhere. Boom. He sees number 2 on the list. 6'4". Well, that won't work at all. His name is 10 Piece. 10 Piece. I know it's from fantasy. All right, how would we bring 10 Piece? I've never even heard of anybody name that in fantasy. 10 Piece. It sounds like something to do with money. Back in the fantasy day, a 10 Piece. So if we were going to change that in, what current names kind of deal with money? I got it. His name is Current. These are weird names, but Current, like currency. So the new male employee is called Current. It's odd enough. I could see somebody picking it. Surely somebody out there is named Current. Put it in the comments if you think that's stupid. We need the comments to churn here so other people see this. Current. We had Tuesday, now we got Current. Sounds good to me. So he says Current. Current's the one, and it's not the MIT guy. The MIT guy looks like he's got all the right tick marks, but his experience is lacking, and I can tell from the last job he had, he wasn't picking up what needed to be done, and that's why he's planning on coming here. Take Current. Current will be the choice. Now, does she listen to him? Boy, howdy, I would sure think so, especially the way he just broke it down. Bernadine isn't a terrible manager. Half of her problem was she doesn't like Gomer because he wasn't there. That's a problem. She needs to get her employees, she needs to have her employees get their work done. But she also, I don't think, appreciates that, guy that's just hanging out with his things. So let's see. I'm going to give her, I think it's very likely 85% that she'll go with his recommendation. She needs to get this filled. And it's a possible replacement for him anyway. So if he wants to pick his own replacement, pick your own replacement. But 85 or less. Oh my God. Oh wait, no, sorry, 9. I was reading his 9. It's 69. 69, yes. She says, fine. Current. And Current's last name, I'm not going to look it up. We're going to go with Current Nolan. I don't know why. Current Nolan. Current Nolan the Third. Current Nolan the Third. He's a third. We're going to pause. I'm going to pour a little Westland. If you have not had an American single malt, and this isn't an ad for them at all, this is just because I love Westland. They make an American single malt, and this one is their, I think their experimental finish here, a cask exploration, and this is their first batch of their beer cask finish. It is delicious. It's based in Seattle, and since we have a man named Current Nolan III, we're going to Westland for an American single malt. It doesn't really have a beer flavor to it, but it's got just a little hint of like the nose on it. I've had this, my Scotch Test Dummies show, the whiskey review show is where that came from. It got sent to us. I know. Let's get back to the game. All right, so we know we've got a new employee, Current Nolan III. Bernadine's like, go back to your den. And he's like, with pleasure. And he's out, he's up the elevator, and he is back in with his stuff where he wants to be. The other part of this is everybody's leaving. Of course, Gomer's staying late. He goes out. He wants to get that Oculus on. He wants to tune it up a little bit. I think he makes sure everyone's clear. He dons it and he runs through a few more tests for his NEURALINK. Jonas should be coming around just like always, but I think there's always the option that somebody could be around. Now, I don't think Bernadine's going to stick around. It's been a rough day for Bernadine. Let's just go, though, 35%. Someone other than Jonas, do they show up? Could be problematic. Ooh, we got a 10. So a 7 would have been a near sure thing. We know it's someone other than Jonas. So who walks in? It's got to be one of the techs. Logically, one of the techs comes in and asks Gomer, I think he just says, what are you doing, Gomer? And Gomer's like, oh, crap, and takes the Oculus off. He's like, I've been thinking about buying one of these. I'm assuming they're using just the Oculus out of the box. That's what it's going to be. He goes, I'm always down at the gaming cafe, and one of the guys was saying the immersion is just phenomenal with the Oculus, but I'm a little nervous about the vertigo. I think this would work because probably based on truth, first of all. I think he probably has been thinking about buying it. But it could be, I think it's a near sure thing. Let's just go near sure thing, 90% or less, that works. 26, yes. I think the tech's like, yeah, they're awesome. I don't even think the tech cares that he's in here playing around with it. He's got his equipment. He knows how to handle stuff. I would imagine they'll jump on not only when they're testing stuff, but they'll probably play with it a little bit. That's some of the cool stuff about having access at a great job. He buys it. The only trouble would be if he picks it up to look at what he's looking at. And this just says he buys it, there's no need. So I think the employee goes through and says, oh yeah, I mean, the only thing is you want to make sure you got a lot of room around you and don't make the steps. You got to kind of stay planted. And if you play for too long, you can get a little bit of the vertigo. And he's like, well, I'm just blown away by some of the visuals. He's like, yeah, it's impressive. And they're improving models every 2 years. It's great. Boom, off he goes. Jonas had been working in the area and kind of sidles up. And right off the bat, he tells Jonas, I need your help with something. Or Jonas tells Gomer, I need your help with something. And this comes from the scheme that I had missions coming up. So just a little window of where this came from. But Jonas tells Gomer, I think with your chip and with your AI help, you might be able to help me figure out who's messing with the grandma of the block. And Gomer's like, the grandma of the block? Who would this be? He's like, everybody calls her grandma. She's an older lady that lives in my district, and she says that people in her block are getting pressured to sell. And she's lived there forever. She wants to die there, and she doesn't want to sell. First, she was approached with a very nice offer from someone doing real estate. And when she declined, some hoodlums showed up and started to, in her words, apply some pressure. This is the salt of the earth lady. And I was wondering if with your access, you might be able to see who's buying up the properties. Gomer's like, that's no problem at all. Let me just look and see. I can just go look into local records and see who's purchasing. So Gomer puts the Oculus on. I think when it's on, he's I've seen my buddy play it. He's moving his around. He doesn't need to click with his fingers, but he's kind of moving. And it almost reminds me of, like, I forget, it was what, Endgame with Doctor Strange, where his head's moving, but not like super fast, but it's a little odd like that. And Gomer's kind of talking, and he keeps saying XRT, XRT. And all of a sudden he takes off the Oculus, and he tells Jonas, a company called XRT Realtors is buying up most of that block that you're saying the grandma lives in. The weird thing is, they've only been around for a month. And you said there were like thugs forcing, she said a realtor, a slick woman in a suit, came by wanting to buy her property. And she simply said she wasn't interested. And within a couple weeks, there's some thugs knocking on her door, telling her it's probably a good idea to get out of the neighborhood. Things are starting to go to shit. And she's scared. And she doesn't want to sell. And she's seen rough times before, but something's got her spooked. I think we got to go down and talk to her. And Gomer's like, we? What do you mean we got to go down and talk to her? He goes, well, you can remotely link in. Maybe we can get some more answers. You can use the Starlink and just connect, right? That's the whole thing with this Starlink going on as part of the company anyway. Yeah, connecting won't be a problem. Well, he goes, well, let's go. And I think Gomer's hesitant. He goes, what do you say? What? And he's like, it's a rough part of town. He goes, it's a little rough, but I'll be with you, Gomer. Let's go. And I think Gomer's like, now? Yeah. Right now, let's go. Gomer's still like, what? He's like, grab your stuff, let's go. And Gomer's almost like he's being kidnapped. He's nervous. He sets the Oculus down, he logs everything out. I think he makes sure that he's connected to Starlink so that he can continue with his uplink. Oh, and I think he's asking Grok internally to please show me the crime rate of this district. And the crime rate, I don't even need to look. He's like, the crime rate's like 87% up. He goes, and I think Jonah's like, yeah, it's probably these thugs. Let's go, Gomer. Scene. All right, that's good. When we come back, they're going to be heading out to go see the grandma and to see what in the heck's going on. Got it. Let me make some notes. All right, they've got to make that connection. They now know that there's a brand new realtor company, XRT Realtors, buying up areas in this particular block, and the crime rate is up. Good. And you definitely, I think Gomer picks up right off the bat, well, that's bizarre. Why would they begin buying all this up, yet the crime rate's spiking over the same amount of time, maybe the 2 months that this realtor's company's come around, and there definitely at least seems to be some correlation. So, we've got a mystery, and it's in Jonas's district. And remember, this is just one block within that district, and we know that it's a rough area. It was a rough area before, and the crime rate is spiking. All right, when we come back, they'll be making contact with Grandma. Chief, bonding with board games and RPGs.